doing good together. That's why tonight, to show just how much I care about the press, and I want to save your ratings, I'm pleased to announce my intention to, and this is somewhat of a scoop, my intention to run for a fourth term as President of the United States. I will be doing that. I will be having an official, in fact, I think I have, yeah. I won 3 times. Now I'm going to do it again. Thank you. I'm going to do it. Should be easy. I'm getting very good at running for president. No, I won 3 times, did very well the second time, by the way. It's a rigged election, but we don't have to talk about it. You know, it's interesting, when you come back and you do a good job like we did, you don't care about it so much, but we do have to tighten up these elections because they really are in seriously bad shape. But
it is so embarrassing. How do you consider yourself a fucking patriot if you're endorsing this kind of behavior from the president? Even with all of the humanitarian issues aside, how can any MAGA, or any conservative for that matter, look at Donald Trump, observe the way that he interacts with the world around him, the reporters, with the people, the way he interacts with social media? So disrespectful and so unprofessional for a position that's supposed to be the highest seat in our country, with the utmost professionalism at all times. Literally nothing as an American person has been done in your favor since he took office. The lies alone about no new wars and lower groceries, lower gas, when that stuff has not but increased. All of that, plus the fact that he is blatantly, even joking about complete disregard on the Second Amendment, where it says he cannot be elected for a 3rd term. And if he's joking about usurping the 2028 election, how is that funny? Why is it okay for this one man to not follow any of the rules that you would have upheld any other president to? How are you okay with that? It's not as though anything can be done at this point. I'm just so tired of you guys existing. I understand you guys are not the brightest crayons in the box, but it's embarrassing. You should be embarrassed.
So Trump just said that he's going to run again in 2028. Matter of fact, he said that he won 3 times. No, he didn't. But he said he's going to run again in 2028 to help the ratings of the TV stations. Now, remember, Steve Bannon told us Trump was going to try and run again in 2028 at his fake-ass press dinner last night. Trump said it again. And with all the attempts, allegedly, at stopping any voting any way possible, this looks to be him actually trying, but at the same time, he can't legally do that. So I'm wondering what his angle is that he thinks that he can run for president again.
It's just how he thinks.
In 2028.
His ego.
Obviously, he doesn't obey any laws. Everybody that pushes anything against him, he just ignores it. Every court, everything, you know, remember the tariffs? Those were struck down as illegal. We're back on tariffs everywhere. But now he's saying he's going to run again.
Word on the street is that the dirty Democrats and the little liberals, they're saying that if my president, Donald J. Trump, is going to run for a 3rd term, that they're going to get Barack Hussein Obama to run against him. Demon rats, my president, Donald J. Trump, would love for that to happen. Let me tell you dirty Democrats and you little liberals something right now, something you better understand. My president, Donald J. Trump, was chosen. He was chosen by my Lord and Savior above. So if you think for 1 second that my president, Donald J. Trump, is scared of Barack Hussein Obama, you got another thing coming. Because even if my sky daddy above decides to unchosen my president, Donald J. Trump, and for some reason that Barack Hussein Obama cheats like you Democrats do, it don't matter. Because let me tell you dirty Democrats and you little liberals something about the MAGA patriot. The MAGA patriotic mind is so ate up with TDS Trump delusional syndrome, even if Barack Hussein Obama did beat my president Donald J. Trump in 2028, we'd still call Donald J. Trump our president because we called him president when Joe Biden beat him in 2020.
The other night, Donald Trump announced he's running for president in 2028 for his quote-unquote 4th term. And if I was a Republican, I would be petrified. This is, of course, a picture of our big, beautiful boy. He was wearing his hat at the White House Correspondents' Dinner that nobody needed to go to, but did anyways, where he said he was running for his quote-unquote 4th term. It was his 3rd. It would be his 3rd. He lost in 2020, but that loser can't accept it. And he, of course, was throwing the hat around and yucking it up with a bunch of journalists who don't respect themselves enough not to go to this event. Now, this could be dangerous for the country, of course, but it's really dangerous for Republicans, or I should say detrimental for them. Because if Donald Trump actually does it and tries to run for president, he almost certainly won't get on the ballot, though there's probably a discussion to be had of if the Supreme Court will do their duty and kick him off the ballot, or if they'll try to weasel out of it. That's a whole other video. But let's treat it as if he should and would get kicked off the ballot under the 22nd Amendment. The problem isn't that he'll get kicked off. It's that how the process of kicking him off will take too long for them and will probably drive the party into a civil war. Because you've got to remember, running for office, whether president or dog catcher, in almost every single jurisdiction, requires you to file. And then requires people, citizens, opponents, whomever, if you don't qualify for the office, you don't live there, you're not old enough, you haven't met the residency requirement in some cases, or in the case of Donald Trump, you are term limited, it requires someone to file a legal challenge to you and kick you off the ballot, which is why this would eventually go to the Supreme Court. What that means is Donald Trump would need to file for office, which he would, and then Republicans, presumably Never Trumpers or whomever, would have to file and say, this guy can't be a candidate, please remove him from the ballot in your state, which he would sue about. This would all take months. This would be occurring during the primary season. Now, it would occur before the votes, because usually almost every filing challenge has to occur before a certain point in time. That way, candidates can be kicked off the ballot before their ballots are printed. But that is still months and months of people raising money for him, backing him, saying they want him to be their candidate. And probably a lot of people like J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, your potential frontrunners, not challenging Trump and then not getting on the ballot. Because that's the dirty secret, is if J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio want to run for president, they need Donald Trump's blessing. And if Donald Trump has chosen to run, they can't. Which would mean basically a Mike Pence or something of that, one of the Never Trump guys. Or maybe like a Vivek Ramaswamy type who ran against Trump but pretended he really loved Trump. Like, I'm running, but Trump's such a great guy. Only one of them would end up being on the ballot. Because once Trump gets removed, those other candidates will have waited too long. But the other real problem isn't just that. Because if Trump ran and then got kicked off the ballot and then walked away, then it would cause chaos. But by the time the general election came around, who would care? The fourth term part is what matters here. Donald Trump, while a loser in real life, hates to admit when he loses, which makes sense, that's the way losers are. They can't accept that they are losers. So what is he going to do? He's going to, if kicked off the ballot by Republicans, he's going to claim it was a fraud. He's going to claim the Supreme Court, which, 3 to potentially, depending on how the next 2 years goes, 5 of whom are people he chose. And some of them betrayed him, because frankly it would probably be Coney Barrett and Roberts who betrayed him on this one, just like with the birthright thing, a citizenship challenge. He would blame them and the Republican Party full of rhinos, and would probably run a write-in campaign or something of that nature, or tell people to stay home, like he did after he lost in 2020, which is why John Ossoff and Reverend Warnock are senators, because after he lost, he told his voters, fuck it, who cares? Don't show up to that runoff election. And the Democrats won, which would happen again. And just like with that election, not everyone's going to stay home, but enough people will stay home. Because if 2 to 3, if 10%, 20%, God forbid, 30% of his voters don't come to the polls because Donald Trump told them to stay home, or they go in and write in Donald J. Trump, president forever, the Democrats win handily. And their party is thrown into chaos. Because now, Donald Trump, until he passes away, has a full grip on them, because he will have been the kingmaker. He made the Democrats president because he refused to allow his voters to come in. So this fourth term, third term, 2028 nonsense, while it should be scary and, depending on how the Supreme Court acts, could potentially, frankly, be the end of the Republic as we know it, presuming it's not, is probably the greatest threat to the Republican Party that could ever happen. And they have no one to blame but themselves.
Trump keeps joking, not really joking, about running for a third term as president of the United States. And here I'm going to break down for you what his logic is, or the logic that's been told to him, and whether or not he actually stands a chance at doing exactly that. So under the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution, it says very clearly that no person shall be elected president for more than 2 terms. The word elected is where all of the mischief is ensuing. So people like this guy, Al Dershowitz, who's actually a Harvard law professor and was once very well respected in the legal community, but has now lost his mind. Anyway, he focuses on that word elected because there are ways to become president without actually being elected in the way that you and I think, i.e. a general election. If a person can become president without being elected under a general election, people think that's a way to loophole around the 22nd Amendment. What's a way that a person can become president without being elected? Well, you can become president if, for example, you're vice president and the president died. You can also become president if you are Speaker of the House and you succeed to the role of presidency through the Presidential Succession Act. But here's why that's so unlikely to happen. Number one, in order to be a vice president, you must be eligible to be a president. That's the 12th Amendment. In other words, a person who is 32 years old or not born in the United States cannot serve as either the president or the vice president, because baked into the role of vice president is the possibility that he will have to succeed to the presidency. Under the 22nd Amendment, you are ineligible to be president if you've already been elected to that twice. It's the same thing for Speaker of the House. Under the current statute, you have to be qualified to be an acting president in order to succeed to the role of the president from the Speaker of the House position. As you probably know, you don't need to be 36 years old or born in the United States in order to be Speaker of the House. But if you want to succeed to the role of presidency from that position, Speaker of the House, you do have to meet all of the eligibility requirements, including the fact that you cannot have been elected to the role of presidency more than twice. Now, there's this third scenario wherein the president gets chosen by the House if there's a deadlock in the Electoral College. House then gets to choose the president, but that selection process is done by voting inside of the House, and therefore the word elect still becomes operative in the 22nd Amendment. The 22nd Amendment doesn't say he cannot be elected through a general election twice, and if there is a vote, even if it's behind closed doors in the House of Representatives, that's still an election. As a result, the 22nd Amendment still stands as a bar to a third presidency, even in that strange third scenario. Now you can watch part 2 on my thoughts on whether it could still happen and why Trump keeps joking about it if it can't.
All right, Trumpers, come and get me. Hey, listen, up here looking at some cars. My dad's buying a new vehicle, blah, blah, blah. But my dad is a big Trump supporter, and clearly I'm not. And the guy selling him the car, or the truck, was talking about how he is a Trump supporter too. But it was interesting hearing my dad sit there and say that Donald Trump has lost his MAGA base. And it's kind of wild to hear my dad say that. And the gentleman that's selling us the car, or the truck, excuse me again, he's a Trump supporter too, and he said the same thing. He said Donald Trump has destroyed the Republican Party, and Donald Trump has destroyed the Republican Party. Like, you people don't know that my dad is absolutely 110% Republican Trump supporter, would get the Trump tattoo on him. And to hear my dad sit here and say that he's lost his MAGA base and that we're going to have a Democrat in there in 2028 is kind of shocking to me. But it just goes to show you that even the MAGAs that are living in the world right this second, that are going and buying groceries, going and buying $4.50 gas up here, is feeling it. And that's why that Donald Trump has done nothing but hurt the Republican Party. He's literally hurt them, and the Republicans are not going to...
Concerning breaking news just came out so bad that I'm officially out of breaking news retirement temporarily because Hassan Piker is on break. But he just put on this Trump 2028 hat and announced at the Correspondence Dinner that he will officially be running again. I'm going to play you the full clip because some people are saying, hey, the dinner is for making jokes, right? It's clearly a joke. As always, first of all, lock in, share, repost, get this word out. It doesn't look like he is joking to me. I'll play it for you so you can judge. But it sounds like, yeah, maybe they wrote it as a joke. Probably not, though. And it doesn't seem like he got the memo. He's probably doing what they always do with this stuff, which is they pitch it as if it's a joke, right? Oh, we're not serious, to test the waters, but it never ends up being a joke. So let me let it roll and you guys can decide.
I'm pleased to announce my intention to, and this is somewhat of a scoop, my intention to run for a fourth term as President of the United States. I will be doing that. I will be having an official. In fact, I think I have. Yeah. I won 3 times. Now I'm going to do it again. Thank you. I'm going to do it. Should be easy. I'm getting very good at running for president.
Jokes until it's not. Soon. The kids miss him, and I'm a terrible babysitter. Everything's getting out of hand.
Doubt that we were in a constitutional crisis before. Now there is no doubt. Trump just announced on live TV that he was going to run for a 3rd term as president. He took out a hat that said Trump 2028 and put it on. He is dead serious about this. Why is that a problem? Well, we have this thing called the Constitution, and that is what is supposed to be the supreme law of our land. And the 22nd Amendment says no person shall serve a term as president more than twice. It doesn't say consecutively. It doesn't say, it says no person shall serve as president more than twice. He just said, full stop, that he does not care about the 22nd Amendment of our Constitution.
So I was busy last night, and so I didn't see this till just now because I've been super busy. But last night, Donald Trump decided that he was at the White House Correspondents' Center, was going to go ahead and say he's going to run again for office. And this is my message to America, especially white folks in America. He is never going to let us vote out of this. Never, ever is he going to willingly fucking leave our White House. He's stealing all of our money and sending our children to die in a war that we don't want. If we don't do something immediately, or Congress needs to act right now, today, this message is to all of them. If you guys don't act, it's going to be on us, the people, and there's not going to be any other choice. What are you guys waiting for? What are we doing, guys? What are we fucking doing?
Moving on from Trump announcing his 2028 election run. And before you say it was just a joke, was what he said about Caitlin Collins just a joke? Was half of his speech just a joke? It's the same problem that we keep making over and over and over again.
The psychology behind it.
Since 2016. We don't take this guy seriously when he tells us exactly what he's going to do. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do it again. He lays it out there. He puts a hat on his head and says, I am running for president in 2000. Well, not in so many words, but he told us straight up. And we still don't believe him. We still think he's a goofball. He's going to have us all in camps. We're going to be laughing our heads off, thinking about how goofy he is. Come on, guys. Take him at his word.
Yeah.
Donald Trump as the president for a third time.
I won 3 times. Now I'm going to do it again. Thank you. I'm going to do it.
Now, he said it jokingly at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, but this isn't the first time that he's floated the idea of a third term. So can he actually do it? The short answer under the US Constitution is no. The 22nd Amendment says that no person can be elected president more than twice. So legally, Donald Trump cannot stand again in 2028 under the current rules. But Trump has repeatedly teased the idea over the past couple of years. Sometimes joking, sometimes saying that there are methods to do it, which has fueled endless speculation. One of those methods could be changing the Constitution, but in reality, that's very unlikely. It would require a constitutional amendment, needing overwhelming support from Congress and the states, a hurdle that's extraordinarily difficult to clear. So for now, a Trump 2028 campaign remains more of a political talking point than a real legal possibility. But with Donald Trump, it's worth paying attention when the jokes keep coming.
To our channel, so I want to quickly share my own opinion on the current situation whereby Americans are reacting to Donald Trump after he announced he's running for the president again in 2028. So I want to quickly share my own opinion. So in my own opinion, if Donald Trump officially announced that he is running for president again in 2028, America would immediately become more divided than ever. It wouldn't just be another campaign announcement. It would be a movement. Let me say it would be a moment that dominates the news, the social media, the conversation across the country. So I think the first reaction would come from his supporters. Many of them will celebrate the announcement because they believe Trump is still the leader who can fix America's biggest problem. They will likely argue as you're watching the video whereby people are giving different set of opinion. So they are going to argue that he has an unfinished business and deserves another chance to continue the policies they believe made the country stronger. So, but on the other side, many Americans will react very differently. As you watch the video, whereby some people are reacting different. Some would say, haven't we already been through this? They will argue that Americans need a fresh leadership instead of returning to the same political battles that have divided the country for years. So let me ask you this. If Trump announced today officially that he is running permanently again in 2028, what would be your first reaction? I would love to hear your answer in the comment section below. Personally, I don't think this election would be about personal alone. I don't think the election would be about personality alone. I think it would be more about performance, because people have become more focused on the results than political speeches. So what they normally think is that, can they afford houses? Can they buy homes? Can they grow their business? Can they find a good paying jobs? Those are the questions many voters are asking today. So in my own opinion, whoever answer those questions best will have a major advantage. So I also think Trump's biggest strength is that he still have an incredible loyal base of supporters, because millions of Americans continue to believe he fights for ordinary people and is not afraid to challenge the political establishment. But his biggest challenge may be convincing undecided voters who are more concerned about the economic than political loyalty. So many Americans are simply tired. They are tired of political argument. They are tired of constant division. They are tired of hearing one side blame. Tired of hearing one side blame the other, while every day the problem keeps continuing. So I believe many voters in 2028 will be looking for something simple, not perfect politician, but what they will target is the perfect solution. So I think what I think is, this election could become one of the most emotional in modern American history, because people are not just voting for policies anymore. They are voting for the kind of country they want America to become over the next decade. So that is where, or let me say, that is why emotion will probably run high on both sides. Supporters will call Trump's return a turn back, or they will say Trump return is another comeback. So critics will call it a step backward. But in the end, neither the social media or television will decide the election. The American people will decide. And that is exactly how democracy is supposed to work. So one thing I believe is, no politician should automatically earn our loyalty. Every leader should earn our vote through their action, their leadership, and their results. That is true whether you are talking about Donald Trump or anyone else running for the office. So here is my final question I want to ask you guys. If Donald Trump officially entered the 2028 race tomorrow, would you vote? Would you personally, watching me, vote for him again? Or you are going to vote for someone else? Or would you wait to hear every candidate before making your decision? So let me hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And if this is your first time watching my video, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe to our channel. See you in my next video. Thanks for watching, guys. So if